Hey everybody, and welcome to my N5 series on the SP404 Mark II, where I cover a topic in about 5 minutes. Saar Dean wrote in and asked if there's any way to preview any of the factory samples on pads, or to be able to like preview them and then assign them to pads. This video might take a little bit longer than 5 minutes, but let's get into it. First up, we're going to go shift pad 6, oh no, it's pad 16, shift pad 13. We're going to go to factory. Now, if you have anything that you want to save, make sure that you've already backed up your system before you do a factory restore. That'll be under backup here, but we're going to go factory. We're going to say all data and say okay. And what this is going to do is going to take from the internal storage that is inaccessible. It's going to relink or recopy over all of those factory samples into a brand new project. So you can see it's taking a little bit of time here, and there's 290 samples apparently, but we're going to get everything restored eventually. So while this is going, what we're going to, the other thing I did is to prepare for this. I mean, I can eject it right now, but I went to the export samples folder on my SD card here, and I deleted everything out of it. So I did that intentionally because what we're going to do so that we can actually preview samples is export to the SD card. And that will then allow us to kind of come in and preview them. Otherwise, I'm not really aware of any way to do this. All right, we got to power off, power back on. And when we're back up, we should have the factory samples installed on the SP404 Mark II. Yep, here we go. So we got everything back to factory default. Now, it has everything assigned to pads, and there's no way to actually get at this content that's internally on the SP404 Mark II. So as I said, what I'm going to do, or what my suggestion to do would be go shift pad 14 to go import export. We're going to go export to SD card. And as I said, it's important you want that SD card clear and empty for your export and samples, the export folder, and then under that, the samples folder, because we're just going to come through and we're just going to tap everything through all these banks. And once we're, it's going to take a little while. It's all right. Once we're done with doing all of this, we will then be able to preview out of that export folder on the SD card, whatever the content is. And if you're going to go do all the work, I would say just make a copy folder of it on your computer. Just copy all the samples out, put them someplace safe so you can get access to it, and then you'll be able to preview it and still be able to export and do other stuff. Boy, there are a lot of samples here. And I know that there's 160 samples per prod. Yeah, there's nothing on this bank J, bank I. So we're going to go enter to execute. And this is, again, it's going to take some time because it's going to go write all these out. I do want to check because it said that there was 290. So, and we just exported what, 160 minus 16. So 144 samples should be what we have in the folder after all of this is done. But it seems like it's going fairly fast. Some of these must be fairly small samples. So it might be worth checking to see if there's any other project. It might be naming these. It looks like it's just using the normal names here. So there might not be anything fancy for the names. The other way that you could go about doing this is if you want to hook up over, actually, I guess I don't have my USB-C plugged in, but I might do another video just showing how to use the app to export this content from USB-C, but I suspect it's going to take longer, although I could be wrong, because I think you have to go like pad by pad. I don't know that you can just export as a whole group from the application. It seems like it's much easier to kind of drag and drop one thing at a time in. All right, we're almost done here. All right, unsupported file. That's interesting. So I just want to see if we have anything else. So we're going to go shift subpad to go to project. We don't have any other projects. So anyway, we should now be able to go shift import export. So shift pad 14, go import from SD card, sample. And if we go to the export sample folder, we can see that there's all of those samples are now exported. looks like it must be keeping the names that they're assigned. So you probably could actually export this from other content. Look at that though. Some of these files have spaces at the end of the file name, which is kind of neat. Probably a typo or something when somebody was doing some of the work. But yeah, I guess that would be the way that I would suggest to be able to preview and then decide what pads that you want if you want to be able to audition them from your SD card. So just to go over it again really quick, I'm not actually going to execute this, but shift pad 16 or shift pad, not even 14, shift pad 13. Shift pad 13 will get you into the utility menu. You can go to factory and then you just say all data. And as I said, make sure you back up whatever you have in your projects ahead of time, because this process will overwrite every single project and all of your samples. So if you don't want to lose them, make sure you do this. Next step is once it's done, you're going to power off, power back on, and then you'll be in project 1, and you basically will just go shift pad 14. You'll go export to SD card and just start hitting every single pad to our sample, and then go hit every single pad that you want and do that across all the banks. Then hit enter to export. It will export all of those samples. Now you've got it on your SD card. Once that operation is completed, I would take the SD card, go to your computer, copy that folder, that sample export folder, the contents of it, just call it like SP404 Mark II factory sounds or whatever you want to call it. And then you'll have it saved up and backed up so that you can go back to it and load up any of those samples one at a time. Otherwise, you're going to be probably coming through deleting things, having to use copy and exchange to move stuff around. Hope that helps everybody. Thanks for stopping by. Keep making music, keep having fun. Remember, if it sounds good, it is good, and peace.